here's lesson 2 of Happy Birthday. We're going to throw some embellishments into the first line of the tune. If you don't want to do embellishments, you might want to jump to the lesson 3. Click on the link below the video to do that. If you're here for embellishments, let's get started on our high E. That's the sequence we're going to do today, the first line with embellishments. So on the high E, we're going down to low A with a G grace note. So that's top finger of the top hand has to lift up. We drop the ring finger and then that top finger comes down. So that's kind of the slow motion version, but as you get used to it, it will speed up. So that's our first grace note. Our second grace note, we did actually sneak into lesson 1. So that second grace note is a D grace note. Top finger of the bottom hand this time, up and down. And if you're pretty new to grace notes, that right there would be a great thing just to put on repeat. If you're comfortable with that, let's move on to the doubling. So our doubling, we're on the low A, we're going up to a B, and we're getting there with a doubling. So we use the G grace note finger, top finger of the top hand, to get from low A to B. And if you're unfamiliar with that transition, hop over to lesson 1. I go through that transition in detail there. So that's the first part of the doubling. But you'll notice that's only one grace note. Doubling, two grace notes. We need a second grace note. So we're going to get a second grace note with that D grace note. And this one comes right after we do the transition up. So it'll sound like this. And as your poor old brain figures out what to do with those fingers, it will naturally get quicker. So there's our doubling. Let's put everything together what we have so far, starting on that E. Okay, so I added in the next note, we drop down to low A again, and we get there with a G grace note. So we're on the B, we're just dropping down one note, drop one finger down on the B, but we get there with that G grace note. So top finger of the top hand. That's a busy grace note finger, isn't it? Especially this tune. So that's the last part of that sequence, and a lot of this is repeated in the second half of the tune. So I'll play the first half and then I'll move on to the second half here. That's the first half we've worked on. So what in the world was that? How did we get up to D there? So we're on low A. We got there with a D throw. So what is a D throw, you ask? So we're on low A, we're going to drop down to low G, drop that pinky. We do our D grace note, top finger of the top hand lifts up and down. That's the first half of a D throw. There we go. That's our first half of the D throw. The second half, we pop up to C, pop up to D. That's the second half of the D throw. Here's the second half. And if we put the two together, here's that first half plus the second half. And as it slowly, ever so slowly gets up to speed, so there's our D throw. After that D throw, we're gonna hop down to the C with a doubling. So we're getting there, again, the G grace note gets us there, and our second grace note will be the top finger of the bottom hand, up and down. So that's our doubling. So let's just try that low A, D throw, and then the doubling to the C. And we'll add that to the first phrase that we worked on. And it just repeats. And here it gets a little bit different. So let me just play it through and you'll hear the difference. It's easier than that D throw. Whew, thank goodness. Oh, I lied. There's another D throw at the end I forgot about. So we're on the low A. Instead of popping up to the D throw, then doing the C doubling, we're going low A and we're going right up to E with an E doubling. So we're on low A. We're going to start with the G grace note, top finger of the top hand, starts that transition. Our second grace note isn't coming from the D like those other doublings we've been doing. It's coming from this middle finger on the top hand of the chanter. So that's where our two grace notes come from. So that's our E grace note from low A. And we have another D throw. There's a small difference. This D throw, we're coming from the E. Instead, before we're coming from low A up to D. Now we're going from E. So we still end up in the same spot. We're still ending up on that D, but we're starting on the E. So we drop down to low G. This time, instead of just dropping the pinky, we have to drop the pinky and the ring finger of the bottom of the top hand. Sorry. So there's our D throw from E to D. So let's just play that E doubling and D throw here, starting from the low A. And we'll put it all together, the whole line through. There you go, you have the whole first line of Happy Birthday. If you want more embellishments, you want to work on the second line with embellishments or without embellishments, either way, all those lessons are available in the link below this video. If this has been helpful, if you're making progress on the chanter, let me know with a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.